And learners are collaborative students who are open-minded. They are ready to take in risk and they think out of the box. This helps them in their day-to-day activity, the practice tasks, and all of the things that they do in their duration of the module. Be it any module, it's not just for a particular subject that they are learning about, but it's applicable for all the things that they do in AND.
For me, the biggest quality would be the eagerness to learn, because a lot of them are working professionals. They have a family that they're looking after, and this is not a course that's very forced, like you have to do. It's their choice. Even after managing their current lives, they are wanting to change their career, and they show a lot of eagerness, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of proactiveness, which kind of also engages us as a faculty, as a mentor, to show that eagerness from our side also, to to balance out their that proactiveness. So that's a really big thing for me, for all the all the mentees I've taught.
So their commitment towards learning, that is something that I really find interesting about them, because they all are coming from different backgrounds. They all are coming from non-design backgrounds or design backgrounds or a creative field, but still the commitment to learn this new subject that they have no idea, maybe a career changing part or a non-career changing part, just out of hobby or something like that. But this commitment towards learning is what I really find interesting when I'm teaching those students.
And learner should be passionate about design. I think anyone having the skill set, learning the software, those are like a part of things that we do in design. Those are the tools necessary. You have to have a passion for that subject, for design, and that is what will drive you every day. You should be passionate about the projects that you are doing. So suppose you're working on a portfolio project, you should be thinking about it day in, day out. And that this happens, not something that you feed into someone's mind. It should happen from within yourself.
Like Rupa said, passion was definitely one of them and a very key factor. What I also think from a more time investment point of view with that domain, if I'm, let's say, an interior designer, I want to kind of fidget around in graphic design, I want to see that path, explore that path, and course becomes a very good option for me. I have a few weeks of time. I'm not having to invest again that 4 years of hardcore bachelor that I've already completed. Again, put that time, take out from my busy life, and then so that means and diploma course, a certificate course becomes a very great option for me.
And also adding with the passion, design, when you start to learn design is, it impacts your lifestyle also. Like every designer, their life must have changed, the way we think, the way we perceive things, it changes drastically. If you're not passionate about design, then this journey cannot happen.
We think that learning Illustrator, Photoshop, Figma, and we call ourselves designers. Very, very false thing. The most important thing that we learn in design education as such is the process of design. We think that it's not required. The color palette, type, it's not an important part. We think that it's not an important. I always tell this to my students also during the session, that why we are doing what we are doing. It's a very important question to answer every time you're taking a design decision. The moment you start answering your whys, you'll understand why the process is important. Creating a fancy brochure, creating a great app, it's quite easy to do so looking onto the current availability of resources that we have. But I think what's important is setting the context, answering your whys, doing that research, the process as a whole in design. So I think that is what sets you apart as a designer when you do the formal training in design.
For me, one key highlight, and that's with personal experience from my job and my work, is the approach you take towards problem solving. A software expert would immediately go on his or her computer and start fidgeting around with different softwares. It could be any, depending. But a designer wouldn't be dependent on that technology that much. A software would often be intimidating, overwhelming for a person who's not very familiar with technology or something. But a designer, if he gets intimidated, he would immediately kind of pull out their sketchbook, notebooks, and start drawing. they have that impromptuness in them that is often required in, let's say, client meetings. I'm sure we all have done client meetings in the industry, and we know at that time you can't fidget around in AutoCAD, Photoshop, and present. That's when you have to really sketch and get your hands on. And manual sketching, hands-on drawing, these are something that we don't never get intimidated with. We have been doing it since our childhood, right? So that's a very big difference I see on the dependency part that a designer has on a technology versus software expert. A designer would take it as a tool, as a helping aid, but a software would take it as the entire process.
Even for the lifetime projects, like if being a graphic designer, we get briefs to rebrand things, to build a plan. Yeah, but the approach of a designer and of a graphic artist who knows how to handle software, term that the approach would be different. The solution that will provide, they will both give the outcomes would be the same as a branding collateral or a logo. Yeah. But the impact that the identity would create in the market or the business would be drastically different because of the design thinking process, of the design process that the designer has taken. So the solution would be more impactful, more relevant to the business, and the one who knows the software won't make an informed decision. It would be a personal decision there. So the tools is again just a medium to to make things, but it's not the fuel. Yeah, give an impactful solution.
During our formal design education during college, we used to do this peer-to-peer reviews, and we used to showcase our work. We should take feedback from everyone. If I'm creating something for someone, for a particular target audience, I try to reach out to them. It can be anyone from my surrounding, and I think that helps because at the end we're creating it for people, so they should be at first. We can give constructive feedback for the mentees. Taking that feedback is also important. It's not just giving, it's not a one-way communication that happens.
For me, it would be like one of the core pillars of the whole design process. Like we say, color theory is the foundation, this and that. We have learned all of that. But I think even feedback is something that makes the absolute pillar foundation strong. What happens is a lot of time we as designers are so indulged, so engrossed in our own design process that we are unable to look beyond that. And of course, if I am doing something, it's very likely that I would be able to find mistakes in that, probably a different direction, a different ideology to approach that. If I'm designing a space, I'm designing it for the layman to use, not a professional designer only to use. Even their feedback could be a very constructive one on what approach would I take. But definitely, one should be open to feedback.
You should take it in a positive way. You should learn to take it in a positive way. Be it anywhere, be it even it's not just us giving feedback to the students. The students are also giving feedback to us that whatever we are trying to teach them, are they able to learn it, or is there any better way that I as a designer can teach? Even within our design process, there's something called prototype, there's something called user testing. It's based all on feedback, that whatever you have designed, is it working or it's not working, because you have assumed certain things on your research, you have done your analysis, you have done your research, but whatever solution are you providing, is it working or it's not working? It's just through the user feedback that you'll be understanding it.
I think that, and we always follow this process. A lot of our work and practice task is based on group tasks, and wherein they go into huddles and do some group activities. So we try to do that. We try that it's not just us giving feedback and us giving inputs. It can be your peers also. So that is also
and that also embraces them to be an individual thinkers. Like if I give feedback, I also have certain point of view in my head. I'm also starting to think in a certain way. So my individuality of thinking things will also come in, and my independent learning and handling projects independently, that would the thing that we can teach them is what are the factors on which you can decide on how to give feedback. If ऐसा brief है तो क्या factors हम consider कर, that we can still, but they learn to give feedback which will help them in future to be an independent designers. And अभी तो teachers के साथ थोड़ा लेकिन इसके बाद तो they'll be working, so that will also make them good professionals, freshers से ही मतलब so yeah.